One of the hardest realizations that I ever had was that I was actually the one causing the majority of my pain and my suffering. That when things were going wrong, when I was sabotaging the relationships, when I was sabotaging other things that were going well in my life, and I was blaming the outside world, I was blaming other people, I was blaming my circumstances. And when I realized that it was me that was doing it unknowingly, it was one of the hardest things to process. Because you start to think, oh fuck, I've caused myself so much pain, but not just myself, like the people that I care about. I've hurt people that I care about. I've pushed people away that I care about. I've sabotaged things that I knew that I wanted, but I didn't have the ability within me to trust. Didn't have the ability within me to open up and to connect and to actually receive the things that I say I wanted to get. And it can be a big wake-up call. Now, this year has been a tough year for a lot of men. I've seen similar themes for a lot of guys. A lot of the guys that I work with have been through breakups, leaving it too late to create change. The amount of guys that have come to me this year wanting to save a relationship or save a marriage, keep their family together, and it's been too late. Because for some reason we have this habit of, not always, but waiting until the last minute, until it's the ultimatum to change. And sometimes that is too late. But it's been a tough year for men overall. There's been a lot of, like I said, breakups. There's been a lot of shedding, like old identities and coping mechanisms and unconscious patterns of behavior have been coming to the surface. Okay, because we're moving in that direction now. It's no longer acceptable to just go around and project your pain onto the world and pretend that you're the victim. Like, it's not acceptable anymore. I know for a lot of years that a man's worth was defined by what he could provide materially or financially or physically, but that's not what the world's looking for anymore, man. The world is looking for more men. The world needs more men that are emotionally connected, that are spiritually connected, that have faced themselves, that have done the work, that have got to the root of why they project pain out onto the world. That's what the world needs more of. And we're starting to see a big change. A lot of guys are having the courage to do the inner work and take accountability for why they are the way that they are and really get curious about their own behavior. But it's been a big year overall. A lot of men going through it, going through the ringer. But it's not a coincidence either, really. We are 2025, which is the year of the snake. And typically, the snake is associated with shedding and removal. A removal of everything that isn't you. A shedding of everything that doesn't align with who you are becoming. Okay, because in order to step into a life of alignment, you know, that sounds great in theory. Like if you think of a life of alignment where I'm doing a job that I'm passionate about and it's my purpose and I've got this amazing relationship and this friendship and I've got everything that I want. Okay, that's the goal. But what we often forget about is in that process, everything that doesn't align has to fall away. And that's not easy, man. Because sometimes it means you're going to lose things that you thought were going to be in your life forever. This could be relationships that you thought was going to be in your life forever. It could be your job, it could be certain life circumstances, it could be certain friendships, certain people in your life. If it's not meant to be, it has to fall away. And that can often come with a lot of pain and a lot of grief. Because you're letting go of what you thought you knew to be true. But what that does then is it creates space for what is trying to come in. Because we all have capacity. And the longer we are holding on to things that are not meant for us, the longer we are delaying what is meant for us. So I encourage you at this time is to really start reflecting. And it's not like a new year, new me spiel that I'm going to give. Like for me, the real new year is springtime, when the world starts to wake up. You know, January, we're still in the dead of winter, but it's still a good time for reflection. It's still a good time for taking stock of our life and looking at ourselves seriously and looking at our world and how we show up and really reflecting on, okay, well, does this align with where I'm going? Does this habit take me to where I want to be? Do these people contribute towards my growth, or are they keeping me anchored in the past? It's a really good time to get reflective on that and to separate your life into different areas. Okay, so you've got things like your career, your health, your finances, your friendships, your relationships, your spiritual practice, and there is another, I can't remember it off the top of my head. You've got like 7 or 8 different areas of your life when you break it down. And it's been able to look at each area of your life and say, right, this is what's going well, this is what's working. But then identifying in each area, okay, well, what is holding me back? Whether it's a belief, a habit, a certain coping mechanism, people, places, things, thought patterns. Okay, anything that you're holding on to that's keeping you anchored in the identity of the old self. And we've got to really look at it honestly and say, right, some things are going to take deeper work to process. If it's trauma, if it's an old belief, okay, if it's energy that's trapped in the body, yeah, it's going to take work. But what you'll find is when you go through these different areas and you identify anything that you don't want to carry forward, there'll be some quick wins in there that you can attend to straight away. Okay, maybe it's a conversation that you've been avoiding having, maybe it's a decision that you've been avoiding making. And what we've got to look at it as from an energetic perspective, right? Because everything that we continue to feed energy into, that doesn't take us where we want to go, that keeps us anchored in the past, it's leaking energy, it's leaking power. And the more we can plug those leaks and take that power back, we can channel that into something different. Like I said, it could be a friendship that's not really a friendship, okay? It could be places that you keep going to that keep you anchored in the past. You could make that decision, well, I'm not going to spend as much time with that person anymore, or I'm not going to go to that place anymore. Or it could be a habit, okay, smoking. Maybe you don't want to drink anymore. Maybe you find yourself chasing validation externally. It's like, okay, how can I start to take my energy back and channel that into something else? Because when we look at shedding and removal, okay, we need that space, we need to create that space, because what you'll find is the healing process this is what I always say to guys, the healing process isn't looking for more things outside of us, like we've been conditioned to believe. The healing process is removal. You remove the fears, you remove the traumas, you remove the insecurities, you remove the self-doubt, the conditioning. And what that does then is it creates space for who you really are to come through. Because all of these things, these coping mechanisms and unconscious, unhealthy ways of being, it's all just part of the survival identity. Okay, it's not the real you. You didn't come into this earth or come into this world with all of those, with an anxious attachment or an avoidant attachment or an addiction. Okay, these are learned behaviors. These are coping mechanisms that you learned when you were younger to try to keep yourself safe, but now it's just become maladaptive. And what you find is when you remove those, it creates space for who you really are to come through. The true you, okay, the grounded you, the confident, peaceful, self-assured, aligned, authentic, live in integrity. Okay, all of these buzzwords, right? But it's true. And I see it time and time again. I've seen hundreds of men go through this process. But it's about removal, and it creates space for that real you to come through. Look, think of it like the womb, right? The womb needs space for something to be created. So anything that you're holding on to in your life that is keeping you anchored in the past, that you don't want to carry forward, it's time to get cutthroat about that. Say, right, this is what I can change immediately. This is what I'm going to work on long term. And then just have a direction. There doesn't need to be an end goal as such, because we're constantly evolving and we're constantly growing. There isn't really an end destination. But having a direction and just say, okay, well, I'm committing my life to becoming the best version of myself possible. And that's not driven by the energy of nothing that I do is ever enough. It's driven by the energy of, it's the masculine energy of growth and progression and drive. But from presence, the energy is very different, because you can have one foot in gratitude and one foot in ambition. So I'm grateful for where I am. I'm grateful for the things that I've achieved and what's got me here. But I'm also looking to better myself. You can have both at the same time. But then when we look at the removal, it's also about discovering your gifts and your powers and your confidence and what you have to bring to the world, because we've all got something we can bring. We've all got something, a personal quality or something within us that can benefit the world. And that's one of the final stages of healing, is service. How can I take what I've learned? How can I take my gifts and share that with the world? And that doesn't always have to be for monetary gain. Maybe your gift is you like to make people laugh. So you just tell shit dad jokes. Okay, it doesn't mean you have to become a full-time comedian. Okay, your gift that you can share with the world doesn't always have to be career-related. But it's been able to give yourself that opportunity to find that magic within you. Because right now, if you're still living in the survival self, the wounded self, if you're still living in fear and you're still living in fight or flight, you cannot tap into that creative energy, not really. Because that creativity and that inspiration and that ability to express and that authenticity comes through being able to open the heart energetically. And that comes through healing. Comes through working through your stuff, getting rid of stuff that isn't you, and opening up to the magic of the world and opening up to the magic within yourself. That is the secret. But then when we look to next year, which is the year of the horse, the fire horse. Okay, and this is not the same as the Gregorian calendar New Year, so it doesn't start on the 1st of January. I think it starts like February time. So you've still got more time to do some shedding, okay? The year of the fire horse really is like the energy that we're moving into. And if you can't get on board with the names of the different years, fair enough. But what we can still speak into is the energy of it. Okay, because the collective is shifting. I feel it. There's so many people in my life who are tapped in and connected to the energy that are feeling this shift. Okay, it's been felt all around the world. So it's a real thing, and you can capitalize on that energy. So the year of the fire horse is forward momentum. It's drive, it's passion, it's mission, It's rapid transformation. Okay, it's masculine, it's strong, it's intense, it's fire energy, it's wild energy. So it means it's the perfect time to shake things up, man. Do something different. To follow your heart, to listen to what your soul actually wants, rather than just continuing down a road and down a path of a life that doesn't interest you and doesn't excite you, that suppresses your soul. Because that suppression of the soul and suppression of the heart is what causes depression. It is what causes anxiety. Because we are creative beings. We are meant to create. We are meant to express. We are part of creation. We are constantly creating. It's our natural flow. It's our natural movement to create, to express, to decide and uncover who the hell we are, and to give that to the world. Say, this is who I am. I no longer accept the less than mediocre standard that I have been accepting all of this time. I refuse to fall in line with some narrative of who you think I should be in order to be accepted. I refuse to morph myself into someone that you think I need to be in order to get approval, to get love, to get validation. I choose to remove the mask that I've been hiding behind my entire life. Because that's what's been happening. The mask that you picked up and put on from a very young age. When you started to adapt your behavior to meet your own needs for survival. It's time for that to change. And that's what's available for you if you ride the energy of what's coming through. I know it's not an easy process. Taking accountability for this stuff, like I said, is a very difficult thing to do. It's confronting, it's raw, because you recognize all of this pain and this suffering that I've been going through is self-inflicted. I am the cause. I am the one that's allowed this to continue. And if you disagree, then maybe you're not ready to hear that. But it's the truth. And when you get to a point where you can take full responsibility and accountability for your life and how you've shown up and how your life has turned out, that is the moment you take your power back. 100% self-accountability. Radical acceptance is a gift. It's a painful, shitty gift. But it's liberation. It's freedom. Because from that moment, you recognize, okay, well, what happens next is it's my choice. I get to choose. And I'm not going to choose to continue living this way anymore. The first step for this, get to the root of where these behaviors come from. Get to the root of the anxiety or the avoidance or the self-sabotage or the addictions or the low self-worth or not feeling good enough or the emotional shutdown, the people-pleasing, the self-sacrifice and the self-abandonment. Get to the root of where that came from. That is always step one. Inner child work, working with the inner teenager, figuring out what happened in the most formative years of your life that have caused you to develop these coping mechanisms. Step one. Then work with the body. Step two. Somatic work. Healing the nervous system. Healing the heart space. Working with your energetic field. Because this internal wounding sits deep, goes way beyond the logical mind. This is why talk therapy becomes redundant after a while. Because you need to go beyond talking, beyond logic. Step 3, what I always take guys through, is the actual neuroscience element. Rewiring the brain, reprogramming the brain, because when you have like unhealed trauma from childhood, internal wounding, you develop these beliefs about yourself that you're not good enough, or you're not worthy in some way, or you'll be abandoned, you'll be rejected, you're not lovable, you're not likable, there's something wrong with you, whatever the core belief is. Those core beliefs then become the foundations in which you build the rest of your life. So you can use neuroscience to get to the root of those beliefs and actually change them. And then you move into the identity work. Okay, you start to choose, who do I want to be? How do I become that man? How can I start to embody the traits and the skills and the ways of being that I want? And when you start to embody those internally, it takes some time, but your external world starts to catch up. But the internal shift has to come first. If you do all of those things, you'll be a completely different man, in a good way. You'll be the real you, okay, underneath the mask. And there's no better gift to yourself than to discover who you really are. A lot can change in 6 months. It takes a little bit of graft and commitment to be able to confront some of these parts of your past that you've hidden from and that you've not wanted to face, but there's no other option, man. The only way out is through. And it's through everything that you've avoided up until this point. But it's short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. Life on the other side of that is so much better, man. Yeah, I feel like that's it for today. Cheers, gents.